People talk a lot about pain, especially nowadays. But most of the time when people talk about a painful experience in their life, most of the time it's something extremely small and something that doesn't really matter. Let me give you a good example. The person at Starbucks made your milkshake wrong. Wait, I don't think they sell milkshakes at Starbucks, but it also doesn't matter because their drinks have so much sugar in it. It's basically just a milkshake with caffeine in it. But basically stuff that doesn't really matter. They talk about it like their whole day is ruined, and how are they going to go and recover from that? Well, let me tell you a real painful experience. Something that you can't recover from, and that is being a fighting game fan. Easily one of the most saddest things that you can ever do to yourself, because fighting games is basically just a dying genre. For the last couple of years, it had a absolutely ginormous decline, and it seemed like as more time went by, less and less people were actually playing fighting games. It got so bad to the point that it became really depressing. A lot of hardcore fighting game fans and even some YouTubers and Twitch streamers were just really sad about the whole space, and they truly thought it was just gonna die off. And I was also one of those people. I even said something like I don't think fighting games are going to exist in the next couple of years. And that was an opinion that I really believed in, because it felt like as more time went by, fighting games were just becoming less popular. And that's something that whole genre couldn't really withstand, because it wasn't really that big in the first place. Like, something that I say is that buying a fighting game is basically buying a scam, because 95% of the time the player base is just going to completely die off in like 3 months, because that's usually how long a fighting game will most likely last for. People come in and play it, all the new players come and they're like, man, I'm going to go play this game, I'm going to become competitive, I'm going to train, and I'm going to be extremely good. Then they learn that playing a fighting game is extremely difficult, and then they run away from it. And then since everyone left and the fighting game basically doesn't have a player base anymore, and then the game just dies. On Steam, it's barely able to get over like 1,000 people, and on consoles, it's also not really looking so good. So it's basically just on life support, where you only have like a core fan base, and that fan base has to be really committed for that game to stay alive. Most of the time, they aren't, and they're just gonna get sad enough and just give up, and then that fighting game is just dead. It goes into the graveyard of just thousands of other fighting games that couldn't survive. But I don't think it's like that anymore, because I truly feel like we have reached a brand new golden age. It feels like fighting games are coming back, and the hope in the community has finally reunited. It's like we have opened Pandora's box, and all of the evil, no good stuff that no one wants came out of it, and now all that's left is the hope. And the fighting game community has absorbed that hope, because it's looking absolutely amazing. Especially this year. Man, if you're a fighting game fan, you're eating good. You may be eating a little bit too good, and you may be like bloated and stuff, and feeling extremely uncomfortable, because there's just too much good games for you to play. A good example was Street Fighter 6, a game that still to this day have an extremely big fan base, and a huge player base, especially on Steam, which is extremely impressive. Fighting games, they don't really last long on consoles. On Steam, they're basically non-existent. That game is still able to get over like 10,000 players, which for fighting games standard, that's basically like having 1 million players online. That is an extremely big deal. And even right now, not so long ago, Mortal Kombat 1 ended up releasing, and that game is also ginormous, and I'm guaranteed it's going to have a long fan base, and people are going to be playing that game from the beginning and probably to the end when they're done supporting it. Fighting games is truly my favorite genre of video games, because I just think it's so much fun, and it's such a good experience when a brand new game comes out. Absolutely no one knows what's meta, no one knows who's a good character, and everyone is basically just in training mode trying to figure out what's going on. You pick the character that you think that looks the coolest, and then you just look in the training menu and just learn combos, and you spend hours of your life in training mode just for you to go online and get beat up immediately. Like someone straight up folds you like laundry, beats you up like a rug, and then just throw you outside, and then you go back in training mode, and that process basically continues until the roles reverse. Now you're the pro who's beating up someone, and now they have to go back in training mode, and it's something that's just absolutely amazing. amazing. It's a really good experience, and it's something that I recommend a lot of people should go and actually try out fighting games. Fighting games have this really bad stigma that they're just extremely hard to play. A lot of people have the mindset like, there's just no way I'm going to be able to learn one of these games because it's just going to be so confusing. I mean, like, I have to pick one character and then I have to learn all their moves, which was true back then, but it's truly not like that anymore. Fighting games are now finally reaching this perfect spot where I feel like it's easy for new players to come in, and it's still interesting enough for pro players. A good example is the new Mortal Kombat game, Mortal Kombat 1. I truly feel like they ended up hitting the perfect middle ground, because something like the last one they ended up releasing, Mortal Kombat 11, was absolutely horrible. That game was way too easy, and you could basically learn a character in like a couple of hours. Given like 2 hours, you can master a character, which is extremely bad, because that means everyone is basically flat. They're all white bread. I mean, white bread tastes good, but it's just kind of boring, you know? You're kind of gonna want to get something else, like the cinnamon bread, or maybe that one bread with chocolate in it. And if you eat that, you are absolutely disgusting human being, because that is just disgusting. Even cinnamon bread is gross. I don't even know why I used that as an example, but it's something that I'm pretty sure you people get. Every character was basically flat, and it wasn't interesting. So, no one basically wanted to go and play the game because everyone was bored. But Mortal Kombat 1 has that perfect tier where every character is pretty easy to learn, but they're also extremely deep, and you can do a lot of goofy things with them. I mean, it's getting silly out there. And it's just something that I'm very excited to see, that fighting games may be back. I think we are in another golden age where thousands of people are gonna come in, play in fighting games, and we're gonna have a brand new generation of fans, and the whole genre is finally going to be saved. No more of every single fighting game fan being extremely sad and depressed, thinking that the genre is just gonna die someday. It is not like that anymore, and I am very excited. Anyway, my name is Lua. This is just something that I want to talk about. You have a good day or night. See you.